Alright, good day YouTubers, and welcome back to the 100 Acre Plantation. Uncle Dave with DEECEE's Adventures. Well, it's day 8, beginning of week 2, and I suppose the beginning of episode 2 of the 100 Acre Plantation Off-Grid Project. Today we're going to talk about the solar system. I haven't actually set this up. I've tested it out in California once when I first got it, but it's a Chevron battery. It's like a battery inverter pack and a Rockpals solar panel. It's a big solar panel. Should put a lot more power out than that 15-watt Anchor we've been using for the last 4 years. I did use the battery pack last night to upload videos on the laptop and charge the laptop up. Also charged a battery pack and my iPad, my old iPad 2. I don't use that for filming anymore, but I still watch videos on that at night, and that's the only thing I use that for now. But it lasts way longer. I can watch like 10 hours of video per charge on the tablet, and it's a much bigger screen than my phone, and much better use of power than trying to watch videos on my laptop at night. It's nice to watch an hour or two of videos right before bed, pass the time, and kind of relax at night. So, sun is shining, should be shining all day. We're gonna set this solar panel up and we're gonna hook it to the battery inverter battery pack and see how much of a charge we can get on one day. Let's open this thing out. This is the battery pack. So it has 3 AC outlets and it has 4 DC USB outlets, and it has 4 DC, I don't know, whatever these weird plugs are, outlets too. I don't have anything that goes to that, so I don't know. I won't be using that. But this is the battery pack. It's 75,000 milliamps, and it's enough to charge a laptop twice, an iPad 3 times, or your phone like 15 times. And it works pretty good so far. We'll see how it does with the charging. Haven't really tested this with this solar panel yet. Open this sucker up, and it's 4 giant panels. That thing's huge, man. And it has a little pouch on the back here. Open it up, and it has a bunch of different connectors, but this is the connector that is for solar charging. And this Chevron has a connection right here. Yeah, I'll bring it in a little closer. I'm gonna wipe the lens real quick, sorry. I don't know if that helped. But it has a little place right here. You unhook that, and that's where the solar charges, right here. Put the solar charger. This is how you charge it with an AC at home. Alright. Nope. Nope. So this is all these little adapters for different things. I'm not sure if we need that by any chance. Well, the solar import doesn't look like it matches any of the solar outputs that's on the solar panel, so I'm gonna have to go through this thing try to figure that out. Let's see what's in here. Oh, there we go. So the Chaffron battery came with this adapter, which is for the battery. So this hooks up to the solar, this hooks up to the battery right here. There we go. Hook that up there. These are just extra attachments for other devices, I guess. Should have unraveled all this stuff before I started the filming. There we go. There's the two cords that come out of the solar panel. Female and a male. And then you take the female and a male on the battery pack and you hook them in. Yes, we've got a red light. We've got a red steady light which says charge. So it's charging already, and I haven't even opened all the panels up. And get all the grass and everything out of the way. Zip this panel, and then you want to keep this panel hidden behind the panel so it's not, you want to keep the battery hidden behind the panel so it's not sitting in direct sunlight. You want to keep this battery pack as cool as possible when you're charging. Put that back here. Open that sucker up here. All right, it's looking good. All right, so now I'll leave this panel out throughout the day, and every time I come back from doing some work, I'll move it a little so it's getting direct sunlight and it's facing the sun. As the sun moves throughout the day, we'll move the panel to reflect on the sun. All right, so there we go. There's the solar setup. By the end of the day, we'll see how much it charges. That battery pack has about 40% charge on it right now. So we'll see what we get out of it throughout the day. So I wanted to mention last night, right when I was about to go to bed, I was actually watching an episode of Survivor Man, an old one, I think from season 1. And it was like 8:30, 8:45-ish, and suddenly I heard this big grunt, and it was right here, like right next to the tent. And it was big, whatever it was. It kind of sounded like a horse, like a noise a horse makes when it's like angry and like trying to get away from you. And then I hear thump, thump. It's like stomping its feet, like really loud. And it was loud. Whatever it was like 1,000-pound plus animal. Obviously a moose. And it was angry. It was angry. It must have rolled up on the tent and heard Survivor Man going, and it just went wild. It started stomping its feet, and it was making this like sound. And I hear him stomping his feet, and then he took off, and he was stomping his feet the whole time he was running away. I could hear him in the distance still stomping his feet and making this like sound with his lips. It was like, sounded crazy. It sounded really crazy, but when he rammed through the forest here, it was loud. He was a big animal. At first I thought it might have been a bear like snuffing at me, but It was way bigger than a bear. It sounded absolutely huge. So I'm gonna go for a walk right now and see if I can see any evidence, see if he left any tracks behind. I mean, when he was stomping his feet like that, he must have left some sort of track behind. So I'm gonna go looking for that right now. And then I gotta get back to work. I got some cutting to do so the guy can come and finish the driveway this week. All these trees that the property's covered in are gray birch. So, you know, I'm thinning them out, but obviously we want to have some birch on the property. They're really beautiful trees. The white is just a really nice color. But they are like, see if you can see, they're about less than a week away from having all of their leaves. They're just starting to bud out. See? Budding out. But the whole property is covered in these thick. When they cut the property, that's the first tree to grow back. That and the maples, and we're keeping the maples because we're going to do maple syrup. So the only maples we're cutting are the ones that are crowding out coniferous trees like pine trees and spruce. We're trying to free those up because those are the ones we want to grow on the property because that's building material, and the Maine woods is supposed to consist of mostly coniferous trees, but the logging companies have pretty much screwed that up. You know, they've gone through and chopped them all down, and it's not like whatever you chop down just grows back. There's a whole cycle of, you know, first the birch come, then the maples come, then the maples get tall enough to kill the birch, and then the pine trees get tall enough to kill the maples. So a long 100-year process if you want to get all these coniferous trees back on your property. But what I do is I just go through and I cut down anything that's not a pine or spruce, and, you know, rehabilitate the land here. But I'm going through and cutting down all the small trees that I need cut down before they put leaves on, and then we'll go out and finish the driveway too. There's a couple trees we still have to take down for the driveway. So when the guy comes in with the dozer this week, yeah, he's coming in with a big piece of equipment. I've never had a large piece of equipment come to the property before in brownfield, and definitely gonna need it up here though, because if they just put gravel down on the grass, the mud will just come through it next year. So he's gonna get that road so I can pass it, and so I can plow it during the winter, and so I can use it year round. Oh, beautiful piece of land here. I'm liking it so far, but I'm gonna get to chopping on some stuff. See you guys a little later. Freedom isn't free. Oh yeah. Last gray birch I gotta take down here. Look at that. The whole area is cleared for the cabin. So what this guy's gonna do is he's gonna bring a dozer down. That's all the trash that I found on the side of the road going down to the brook. People spit cups and lots of beer cans. But anyways, he's gonna come down with the bulldozer. He's gonna take, you know, 6 inches off the top of all this to get all the mud and the grass up. He's gonna take 6 inches off of this and even it out, and then he's gonna put gravel down, and then we're gonna put the cabin right here. So, I'm excited. Working all day, getting all this stuff cut here on day 8, and it's pretty much all cleared out. Now I just gotta get him down here with the dozer, clear everything out, put the gravel down. Another week or two, we're gonna be chilling in a cabin. It's gonna be so sweet. Yeah, and everything was cleared with that village praying. I know it seems crazy, but you know, out here where there's no hospitals anywhere around, and just in general, maintaining a chainsaw is a lot of work. You gotta sharpen the thing like at least every day. You gotta sharpen that thing, and it's a pain in the butt. But it's also pretty dangerous, you know, if the chain flies off or something, and there's no hospitals around here. So for me personally, when the trees are only saplings, I prefer just go at it with that village praying. That village praying cleared this whole area, processed that wood. So great. Alright, well, that's enough for now. I'll see you guys later at camp when we're relaxing and maybe cooking something up. I gotta take a real flower shower, hardcore flower shower tonight too. Might try to run to town tomorrow. Alright, so we're back at the solar panel to check on it, and look at that green light. It means it's already charged 100%, and it's only 1:45 in the afternoon, and we set this up at 10 o'clock. So it only takes a half a day to at least charge that battery pack from 40%, which is pretty sweet. This panel produces some major power. That's what I'm talking about. So I'm gonna hook up my all my little external battery packs that I use to charge the phone, get those charged up, and by the end of the day I should have everything of mine charged. Pretty sweet. This Rock Pals solar panel is working out pretty darn good. Psyched. Off-grid power, no problem. Well, I'm really happy with how well that solar panel is working. Man, what kind of bug is that? Weird little beetle. Oh man, take a load off on the canvas tent. Set back up. Whoa, shaky. I'm sure it is shaky. I gotta get you guys on the tripod. Just stopping for a break, pounding some water, eating some teriyaki beef jerky and pistachios. Man, those two get you through some times. I love pistachios, they're my favorite. Alright, I'm just gonna relax for a minute here, and then I'll probably go for a little walk in the woods, I guess. Things are going well. Things are going much better than they did my first week at the last property. There were just so many problems at that last property. Neighbors that were just causing all kinds of problems. There's nobody out here. There's just nobody out here. The only people who I've run into are people who own excavating companies and construction companies that have stopped by to say hi and introduce themselves and see if I need any work done. So that's pretty cool. And maybe I'll be able to find work down the road if I ever need a little bit of work. If I decide to stay out here full time, I'm going to need to find some sort of work out here. At least until I can get a market garden going. Alright, I'm going to relax a little while. I'll see you guys in a bit here. On my evening hike, get a 5-gallon bucket of water so we can boil some water up for a flower shower later. I don't know if you can see that. It's like a cluster of eggs on this branch. And this is like some random little creek thing that doesn't move very much, but it's fed by like groundwater from the highland. And I was expecting this to be pretty clean water because it's pretty much groundwater, but the beavers dammed it up in a couple places to keep it, you know, as high as they can, as long as they can. And the dam isn't bad enough that it's like causing all kinds of destruction. It's just keeping this area full of water, which is actually pretty good. I see fish in here, so I'm not sure what those eggs are. They're either some kind of frog, pretty likely, or maybe they're fish eggs. I'm not really sure. I guess I haven't really watched many videos on what trout eggs look like and how they arrange them. But there's some kind of egg. Oh, some sort of bug's heading towards them. But I see little baby brook trout in this brook here. And now that the beavers have it dammed up, there's really no way for them to get out. Now that they've reached a certain size, they're pretty much going to be stuck in this brook. So hopefully they can get plenty of food, and I'll be able to come and do some brook trout fishing right here. Because it's pretty close, like right there just through the woods is the place, the high ground that I like to sit at and watch the meadow. So it'd be pretty cool if there's some fish here, because the actual brook, the like river-sized brook, is actually I don't know, a quarter mile that way in the woods. So this is a lot closer to camp. This is the closest water to camp. That's why I'm gathering it here, even though it's not that clean. But I am, it's really beautiful down here. I am hoping that there'll be fish right here. If there's fish stuck in this area right here, then that could make some pretty fun fishing. I'll just cut a couple of these trees down and do some fly fishing here. You know, the water is only like knee deep. Well, I thought those eggs were pretty cool, so I'll catch you guys later. I gotta haul this 5 gallons of water out the woods. Try not to disturb it at all, but look at that. That's some weird mass. I mean, I imagine that's an egg too, or a bunch of eggs. They just look like round balls right now. They're not moving or anything, but I don't know, that's got to be some kind of frog, I guess. A lot of eggs out. Oh, there's the frog right there. It's watching the brood. It's like, what the fuck are you doing? Oh, excuse my language. You have to bleep that out. He's like, get away from my eggs. Get away from my eggs. Don't worry, little froggy. I'm not gonna mess with him. Back away slowly. You're all good. Yeah, she's keeping a close eye. Alright, I keep hiking back. 5 gallons of water. It's easier with two buckets full of water because they balance you. With one, it's really hard walking through the woods with just one. Pain in the butt. Well, I think this is where the permanent fire pit's gonna be. It's right next to the canvas tent. It's not too close to it. It's a big pile of moose nuggets, kind of an old pile. I've stepped through it a couple times too, but I'm gonna scoop that up and put it in the compost pile. I'm trying to make a wild compost of just stuff I find on the property for some of the experimental gardening. So I'm definitely gonna scoop that up and put that in the pile and dig this out and cover it in sand and make a big fire pit that is safe to burn in. As long as it's not too windy. Sometimes it gets really windy here, but you know, when it's not too windy, this will be the spot where we do outdoor campfires. Alright, there we go. That's a pretty good start for a fire pit. Should be able to keep it away from the grass. Now I gotta find some rocks, and I've been looking for a whole week and I've only found 2. So I guess I'll go grab those 2 at least, and they're not that big. But I gotta really be on the lookout for some stones. There's not many. When you're out in deep forest, the only place you find stones are by the river. So I'll have to go down by the brook and see what I can find down there. That'll be the fire pit. Have the fire burning out in front of the canvas tent. Be sweet. Well, 5:30 in the afternoon, we're gonna go get some firewood. I guess today we'll pack the bow saw and the village parang. The village parang is like the tool of the century right now. It's definitely winning tool of the month this month. It's pretty amazing what it can do and how much it can process. You know, I mean, you do need an axe. I would rather have an axe if I was going to be in woods like this, but pretty much anywhere south of Virginia, I would probably take the parang over an axe. All of Asia too. Beautiful day. Sun's still pretty high. Sun doesn't set until like 8:39. It's getting late in the year. I think it's May 6th today. Yeah, May 6th, 2019. Day 8. Oh, it's pretty dark in here, but I'm in the woods a little ways. I made a saw cut with the buck saw. So I made the saw cut, and now I'm gonna take the parang. Use it just like an axe. I mean, I don't know, this parang, pretty good stuff. I wouldn't be felling trees with it or anything, but even collecting firewood, I don't know, I think it is just as handy or more handy than an axe would be, or at least a small axe. Like, I have a small forest axe I usually carry in. I don't know, this thing might be more handy than a small forest axe because you can clear brush with it too when you need to, like you're chopping your way through the jungle, but you can do it like in any forest setting, which is pretty nice. Yeah, now I'll just make a cut with the buck saw on the back and it will fall. Some of this is living, but the majority of this is dry dead at the top. And it also has a snag on it that I have to make sure it doesn't fall on my head. So I'll see you guys in a bit here, hopefully with some firewood up at camp. Alright, getting to chopping this up, but you know, after you've been in the woods for a little while, it's only been 8 days, but especially when you're making YouTube videos all the time, you find yourself talking out loud to yourself sometimes, like the video is going, but it isn't, you know? It's like harder to control your inner monologue, just talking out loud all of a sudden. It's from doing the videos. Alright, firewood at camp. Now I just gotta chop it all up. Alright, well, there it is. All the firewood chopped. The 2 logs that are like long logs that are left was the part of the tree that was still alive. So I have to chop that up and put that in the wood pile for later. Alright, well, end of the day. The sun still has like, I don't know, probably an hour left before it's gonna set, but it's low enough that this is probably not producing all that much, and I've pretty much charged everything I needed to charge. It was a pretty productive day. Have some clips here to clip them. I'll flip this sucker over. See what the iPad's at. 100%. Yeah. That's like 10 hours of watching stuff. This is the Nova by Kaiku. Yeah, Infinite Nova. 10,500 milliamps. See how much. Oh yeah, fully charged. Man, this thing charged the big battery, charged this battery pack, and the iPad today. Pretty good first day of charging. As long as I get sun every 3 days, I can definitely keep everything charged. Well, chilling out. Sun is setting out there. Got the stove going, some water boiling, gonna have some green beans and mac and cheese. Pretty good stuff. Watch a couple episodes of Trailer Park Boys, I suppose. And then call it a night. I'm pretty pooped. Got the rest of the clearing cleared out, everything cut for the cabin. And the guy's coming on Wednesday, which is in 2 days, to make sure everything's good. And then the excavator and the gravel guy should come. So I'm gonna call it a night here. I'll see you guys all tomorrow. Alright, it's like 6:30 in the morning on day 9. I'm getting stuff packed up. Anything that's expensive or possibly dangerous for people to steal, I gotta load into the car and take with me. Gotta make my first trip to town since I've been out here. I only brought enough water for about 10 days. And I thought I was going to be able to filter water, but I haven't found a source of water that's clean enough that I want to just filter it and drink it yet. If I boiled it would be fine, but everything is really, I don't know, dirty looking. It's like leaf tea. All the water is like brown. So I don't mind showering in that, but I really don't want to drink that. I think I found a spring the other day, but I have to go down there and dig it out and see if it's a spring. And if it is a spring, then we'll put a pipe in it and we'll put a reservoir with a lid so the animals can't get into it, and that'll be our clean water. But I'm not going to figure that out today. Today we're going to go to town. We're going to get some more supplies. Anything. I've been making a list all week of stuff that I think I'm going to need. And we're going to get 30 days of water. So that way I'll have enough water until at least the cabin gets here. And once the cabin's here and I can lock stuff up, it'll be a little bit different, you know. I won't mind leaving every once in a while. But this isn't just camp now, you know. I'm pretty much living up here now, so I need to be able to go to town every once in a while. And I also have to go to the post office and get a P.O. box and have to ship out my mortgage payment. It's early. Animals were crazy again last night. Last night the moose went by and was stomping his feet the whole way he went by. He went all the way around the canvas tent stomping his feet. And then something ran into the lines on the canvas tent, like the rope lines that hold the canvas tent down. Something ran into that. I don't know what it was. It didn't sound that big. It was either a rabbit or a coyote. I shook the tent and then I heard it run into the woods. So just unloading all the guns except for the revolver that I keep in my pocket when I'm in town, and loading those up in the car so nobody steals them and no kids or something end up with a bunch of guns. That's not what you want, you know. Your guns either need to be in your possession at all times or they need to be locked in a safe, and I'm not going to have a safe here until the cabin gets here. Alright, well, I better load this up and get on with it so I can get back soon. Well, successful trip to town. Back at the property. I've got to haul about 3 sleds worth of stuff up to camp. Most of it just stuff I had to take back from camp so that it didn't get stolen. You know, I don't know what kind of people are around here, but apparently there's a couple junkies out here that steal things every once in a while if you leave it unattended. So, gonna make these runs with supplies up to the camp, and then I gotta go collect some firewood because it looks like it might rain later today. And I want to get some firewood before that happens. So I'll catch up with you guys later after I get all this stuff unloaded. Little snake action. See 'em? I've seen a lot of these lately. These gardener snakes. One's really red though. Usually like a greenish brown color. This is like, I don't know, the 6th or 7th snake I've seen on the property since I've arrived. Man, the picture gets really shaky when I zoom in. Cool little guy. Well, I just cut all that firewood. I gotta organize all this junk food I picked up. Put it with the real food and try to get it all in those bins so if critters come in at night they can't get to it. That's about it though. Not much going on. I don't know if you can hear that on the canvas tent, but the rain has started. So I've got all the dry wood put away, wet wood still sitting in the rain, and I don't know, probably start this fire up at like 4 or 5, but it's only 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Maybe the rain won't last long and I can go for a walk in the woods, but we'll see. Alright, I'm out in the rain. Got my my camo rain jacket on. So see this right here? See that action right there? See, I brushed the water away and then it's just running again. So that's some sort of a spring coming out of this hillside right here. So it's really wet right now, so maybe this dries up at some point, but I'm gonna come down here and put a pipe in there and put a little reservoir here with a cap on it. And we'll see. I think I should be able to get pretty clean water out of there, a lot cleaner than any of the other places. Yeah, I think if I follow that with a pipe of some kind under this stump pretty much, I should be able to collect some pretty clean water. You guys want to see something crazy? Look at that thing. Actually, I should set you guys up on the tripod. Hold on. Look at this thing. See if we can focus. It's a little snail, and it was floating in the bucket of water that we collected from that beaver area yesterday. But that area I think is fed by groundwater, so all kinds of stuff living in it. Saw the baby brook trout and the frog eggs. Man, look at this thing. It's super teeny tiny little snail. And I almost put him in the water, in the boiler to boil the water. And then I noticed him. Come on, focus. He's a crazy little guy. Alright, it's night of day 9, right? Yeah. I went to the store today, gathered firewood, didn't do much else because of the rain. I went and looked at that spring briefly, which I do think that there's a spring there. Hopefully it runs all year, and if it does, I'm going to make something that catches that water, and that'll be the cleanest water that I can get out here right now. And that's pretty close to camp too. That's right at the beaver dam, or the beaver play area, or whatever you want to call it. It's not really a dam, since the spring comes in there, and there's a couple springs that should be on that hill. And since they come in there, there's water in there all the time, so the beaver doesn't actually have to dam up things too bad. He just makes a couple spots where he can swim. Alright, well, some kielbasa from town. That pot has rice that's pretty much done. I'm just letting it kind of stay warm there. And that's what we're going to have for dinner tonight. A little bit of cheese too. Got a bag of ice and got a couple things that I could put in the cooler. Keep the ice for a couple days here. You know, every time I go to town, I'll probably do that, but then otherwise I won't have a cooler going, probably. At least until I can figure out a gas-powered refrigerator, freezer thing. Once we get the cabin, I definitely need to get one of those. Alright, well, I'm gonna cook and eat dinner. See y'all later. Oh yeah, everything's sizzling. It's a cooking. Well, cut the tip of my thumb. That branch was stuck on the tree, and yeah, somehow the praying got in the middle of it. I wasn't even swinging it or anything. I just touched the praying. I gotta go clean it with alcohol and wrap it up. Well, it stopped the bleeding. You can't really see it because I flipped the skin over, but I got a chunk of the nail in the tip of my thumb. Seems like this is a ongoing thing. At the first property, I cut my thumb too the first week. Pretty bad cut. It's gonna cause a lot of pain. But important thing is you get it cleaned out real good with alcohol and then get a bandage on it so you don't get infected. It hurts. Son of a gun. I wasn't even swinging the praying. I was like, had the praying in one hand and had a stick in the other hand, and the stick I was trying to throw in the brush pile, and it got stuck on a tree, and somehow I skimmed the freaking praying. Man, that sucks. That's gonna hurt. The next couple weeks it's gonna give me a lot of trouble. Hopefully not an infection, you know? Knock on wood. Well, that sucks. It's gonna hurt. Hopefully it doesn't get infected, but I'll keep it really clean. I don't even know how I managed to do that. I was just pulling the branch out. That's the one thing about working with something like a praying or a machete. It's such a long cutting edge that you're likely to cut yourself if you don't watch out. I've just been getting too comfortable with it over the last week and a half, and I skimmed my thumb. So it's a big chunk of the nail too got cut off. It's gonna hurt. It doesn't hurt bad right now. I mean, it's not that bad right now, but it's gonna hurt over the next week really bad as it heals up. Stopped bleeding pretty quick though, and I cleaned it off real good in another hour or so after it has time to really claw it up and close up. I'll cover it in some liquid Band-Aid and then put another dressing over it, and it should be good for a while. It's crazy. It was pretty much the second week at the first survival property I cut the tip of my thumb off too. I not cut the tip off, but I cut like a big chunk of the pad of my thumb off. That was with my that was with the Light My Fire knife I had. It was the Mora Light My Fire Mora. Yeah, I still have that knife put away. I haven't used it since that day actually. I put it away so I could remember. But I got a scar on my thumb to remember. So now I got a scar on my other thumb to remember the first week of this property. Oh, that sucks. Hopefully it doesn't get infected. My mom and my sister are going to come up and see the property next week. When she does, I'll have her bring some antibiotics, a couple days of antibiotics just in case, just to make sure I don't get an infection on my thumb out here. But it's really important when you first get the cut to open the cut and pour alcohol into it. I know that sucks and it hurts really bad to do that. And then I spray it with peroxide really quick, and then I rinse it again with alcohol. And then the bandage I put on here, I soaked in alcohol too, which disinfects the bandage, which in this case is a paper towel. I have proper bandages, but I couldn't get to them fast enough, so I have to pull out my medical kit. But duct tape and paper towels work pretty good, but paper towels can have a lot of bacteria on it, so I cover the paper towel in rubbing alcohol as well, and then wrap it up in that. And then you know, it's soaking in a rubbing alcohol paper towel. That'll at least kill everything. It's not really good for scarring. Alcohol dries out the skin and can cause even worse scarring. But I don't care about scarring, obviously. I just don't want an infection. So today the guy's coming to tell me if the spot I picked out is going to be good for the cabin. So I'm pretty much done with work for the day. I'm going to let this heal up and meet up with that guy and give him the last payment for the cabin and just chill out for the rest of the day, take it easy, and get back at it tomorrow. I pretty much had already cleared all the brush that I needed to clear. Like I was messing around with this one tree that I really didn't even need to cut down. So, you know, that's how it goes, you know. You're doing work you didn't even really have to do, and you end up cutting yourself. So, but that's just the way it goes sometimes. You got to be careful, you know. And I was pulling on that branch. I had a branch, and it got stuck in the branch in the tree up top, and I went to pull it. I pull it out, and when I pulled it out, I skimmed past the parang. I'm not even sure how it happened, but it's the way it goes. You can't get upset about things. You got to just be in a positive mindset and just be positive about the situation. So I'm gonna chill out and collect myself, and I'll see you guys a little bit later. Maybe we'll take a look at this thumb a little bit later. The funny thing is, the only part of my body I've ever cut with a blade my whole life are my thumbs.
And the funny coincidence really is that the first knife I was ever given, I can remember it like it was yesterday. We're in my dad's van, he used to DJ out of, and we're stopping at the bank to deposit it was a check for a down payment on a wedding service he was going to do as a DJ, as a wedding singer. That's what my dad used to do back in the day. He also owned a gun shop as I was growing up. But anyways, he gave me this knife, and it was a Swiss Army pocket knife, and it was sponsored by Marlboro. He had like got it with the Marlboro miles they used to do. And he gave me the knife, and he was like, first thing he told me is just don't close it on your finger. When you go to close it, make sure your fingers are out of the way. And then like before we had even gotten to the teller, like in line at the bank, I cut my thumb open. I still have the scar from it. I was like 10 years old, maybe 11 years old at the time. And I cut my thumb open. My dad was like, oh, it's a disaster. And all I had was some paper towels from Burger King, trying to stop the bleeding. And when we got to the counter, my dad gave the lady the check and then asked her if she had any more paper towels in there, because his dumbass son just cut his thumb with a knife he just got. But yeah, so my thumbs, for some reason, I always cut my thumb. It's weird. One day I'm probably going to cut one of these bastards off. Hopefully not. But yeah, anyways, see you guys later. Well, the hand's not too bad off. It's about 1:30 in the afternoon, about 4 hours later. I'm just doing all my chores one-handed right now, so I don't open it back up. But still got to get firewood, and need to get a 5-gallon bucket of water down at the little creek thing. So yeah, it's a bummer, but you just got to keep on keeping on. As old Joe Dirte says. I cut all that up and there'll be plenty of wood for tonight. When I came out this morning, all the buckets had ice on them, so that's how cold it got last night. Which is crazy. It's been like, 70, it was almost 80 degrees the other day. But we're pretty far up north, so it still freezes up every once in a while. I'll finish cutting this wood and then make a way down to the creek to get that water. Alright, I came down here to get a bucket of water, but I actually ended up just filling up by the spring and leaving the bucket up there. But I wanted to come down here and check on those frogs. I ended up finding 2 snails in that bucket, and I unloaded those over by the spring. Water's cleaner there. Probably have more fun there. There's those eggs. They haven't changed much. It's been 2 days. Yeah, these particular eggs don't look like they've changed much at all. So we'll come back in a couple more days and check on these ones. I'm gonna go find the other patch of eggs and see if they've developed any better. Glare of the sun in the way, but these things haven't changed that much, but they're actually kind of like an oval shape now, instead of just a round black ball in the middle of the egg sac. So these ones are developing. I think those ones are fertilized. Man, the glare of the sun is ruining that. Whoa, try not to touch that stick that it's on. The wind's blowing pretty hard too, so I think that might break them up a little bit too. But these ones, I'd say, are a lot further along than the other ones. And I don't know why the other ones are milky looking. Maybe they haven't been fertilized yet. I'll come check back on these ones in a couple days too. Well, the end of day 10, still a little sun left in the sky. It's going down. I just went for a walk and I still didn't make it to the far side of the property, but I was pretty close that time, I think. I could see the last stand of trees that are on the map. Yeah, sucks I screwed up my thumb, but it doesn't hurt that bad, and I think I cleaned it really well, so it should be pretty good. Hopefully it doesn't get infected. We'll find out over the next week. But I'm gonna get in there, and it's windy right now. It's still too windy to start the stove up. I get sketched out with all the grass around, but I don't know. It usually dies down the next hour, so I think it'll die down the next hour, and then I'll get the wood stove going and cook some dinner, and then call it a night. It's been an eventful day, but I'm sure it'll be fine. I don't know if you guys want to see this thing. It's pretty gross. It's not that bad. Chunk of the nail taken off. Yep, pretty gross, but it should be okay. Alright, see you guys tomorrow. Alright, morning of day 11, I think. Yeah, I think it's day 11. Yesterday was a pretty bum day, but that's alright. Thumb doesn't hurt too bad today, and I got a big pot of water on so I can take a flower shower this morning. Be nice, get washed up. So let that water boil, hang out in the warm tent this morning. And it was, I don't know, about 42 degrees this morning. And get myself all put together for a productive day, hopefully. It was only in the 40s in the tent, but that thing's frozen. So it must have been freezing temperatures out here last night. A beautiful morning though. Sun is out like that. You're gonna have to set up the solar today. All right, just finished up taking a flower shower. I feel fresh and clean and like a new man. Day 11 still. And I'm about a half an hour away from the guy who's going to deliver the cabin. He's going to come here, and we're going to look over the road and look at the spot I've cleared for the cabin. If he gives it the okay for the delivery, I'm going to call up the excavator guy and have him come over. And over the next couple days, we'll finish this road up. So should be a lot of activity at the property. And then once the road's done, hopefully in the next 2 weeks, the cabin will come sometime in the next 2 weeks. Maybe at the end of next week when the road's all done. I don't know. I'm going to talk to the guy in half an hour and we'll see what his time frame is looking like. But got to get the road done first. So I'm going to go and take care of that. And if anything else interesting happens today, I'll bring you all back. Well, I'm on a walk, waiting for this guy to show up at the driveway. There's a fresh track though, in the sand trap. Still having a hard time figuring out what it is. I mean, it looks like there's a little claw in there, so I don't know. I think that that's probably a coyote. I don't know. Too big for a bobcat, and I don't think we have mountain lions here, so it's likely a coyote. Well, it's always sketchy getting back to work with a tool that you just cut yourself with. But I still got work to do on the driveway here. I had to cut down a couple of these trees that are hanging over that are gonna scrape the cabin when they come in. I have to cut down the couple trees in the front that are gonna scrape the cabin and the guy's truck. And then I have to cut these down and take them all the way down with the chainsaw. And this is just so when he swings the truck out to back the cabin into this spot, he has enough room to swing without scraping the front of his truck all up on elders. So I'm gonna take these couple of trees down, process the wood into brush and into logs, and then throw them in the brush pile. All right. Well, pretty much got all the trees down that I'm gonna have to take down. Just gotta clean them up and take the big thick parts off, and I put those in the firewood pile. But the rest of it will go in the brush pile, and then we're pretty much ready for this excavator guy. But of course tomorrow it's gonna rain, so he's not gonna come tomorrow. He doesn't work on the weekends, so come Monday it's supposed to rain again. So if it's raining, he won't be here Monday. If it's not raining though, he'll be here Monday. So, and it's Thursday right now. So
it's gonna rain Friday, off for the weekend, and then hopefully Monday we're gonna get the equipment in here. But you know, you gotta deal with the weather. And in spring in Maine, the weather is always pretty rough.
Got the sled full of gear.
Heading out to do some chores, gonna try to find some firewood and all the trespassing signs that we put around camp so people aren't hunting through camp. I only put 2 nails in them, and I really need to put 4, because at least in the spots that we're going to hunt that are around the signs, because in the wind the signs just make all kinds of noise unless you pin them down on all 4 sides. So I'm going to fix that and pin them down on all 4 sides, and we might even dig out the spring later, I don't know. But first we're gonna go find some hardwood firewood.
Yeah, now this is some nice firewood.
Lightning strike or snow is too heavy, who knows what broke this in half, but dry standing maple. Second load, hauling out right now. There's the brook where the frogs are. We'll go check the eggs in a minute. Well, no activity at these eggs. They haven't changed at all. They're not developing in any way. And mama frog isn't around anymore. So I don't know, maybe we scared her that first day and she decided not to try to fertilize those. But let's go find the other egg patch. The sun isn't shining over here, so you can't really see through the water. But these ones are still developing. They're changing shape still a little bit. And they're getting plumper. So I think these eggs are definitely doing something. We'll check back in a couple days on these ones. Alright, I'm walking along the most northern region of the property. I knew there was a body of water here, and I followed the stream and it ended up here. This stuff really isn't moving. I still think this is all fed by groundwater, but this is where it gets deep, obviously. And I knew that there'd be a spot here like this, and I knew that it would be a spot where ducks would come in. There's enough opening that they can come and land. Only some species will be able to come and land, but mallard and a couple others should have enough room here. And when I got here, there were ducks here. They were golden eyes, I think. You can't hunt those, but they flew off. I knew there was a spot like this on the property. So we're gonna build a blind right here. This is gonna be where the blind goes. Oh, I see some stuff marked over there too. I don't know if that's someone's trail in or if that is the property line. It might be the property line. I gotta go check that out. See, it's red markers over there. I don't know, that might mark the property line, or that's just someone's trail coming into this spot because maybe someone else has been hunting ducks here. This is a cool little spot. The wildlands is on the other side too, so those markers might be coming from the wildlife management area right there. Because we're past where my neighbor's place is. My neighbor's like the first quarter of my back line is my neighbor, and then the rest of it is wildlife management. But this is a nice spot right here. You gotta get a GPS so I can mark all these spots on a GPS. I have one, but it's an old one. You can't really do all that stuff with, so I gotta get a new one. Man, I'm pumped. This is what I was looking for. It's what I've been out on a hike for the last hour looking for. I knew it was out here. This property is huge. 100 acres is pretty big when it's all wooded. Little bunny creeping up on camp. He almost fell in the hole over there. Sunset and day 11. Pretty good day, I guess. See you guys all tomorrow. Well, morning of day 12. I think it's gonna rain all day. Fire up the stove and do some editing today, I guess. Hang out in the canvas tent. Probably not gonna be much going on today. Check with you guys later.
Well, now it's raining, I almost forgot about this stuff. I have this plant food. It's a Maine coastal-based plant food. Lobster meal in it, kelp and worm castings. I got this just so I could have it for growing vegetables and whatnot when we do some experimental gardening. But I'm actually going to put about a cup of this in each of the blueberry patches while it's raining. If you put this straight on the plant when it's not raining, the dust will get on the leaves and then the sun will come out and burn them all up. But if you put it on while it's raining, it will just immediately wash off of the leaves and go down into the root system. So I'm going to hit all the blueberry patches. There's 3 main patches on the property, and I cut all the trees around those patches, so hopefully they'll grow and get a lot bigger. At one point, the old man who used to manage this land, he said that this whole top area was covered in blueberries. So as we get rid of some trees, we should be able to get the blueberries back. Rainy days. It's a bummer. Well, day 12, it's still raining, trying to get some editing done. The editor definitely uses a lot of power, so it's sucking down the power, but that battery pack's working great for keeping that laptop running. But that is the wood supply right there. And I don't know, it's probably only like 2:30 in the afternoon. And it's pretty cold. It's like 40 degrees out there and raining.
So I'm gonna have to put the rain jacket on and head out and try to find some more firewood, because I definitely want to be able to keep this fire going all night, keep the tent nice and warm and dry. I don't know if you guys can even hear me over all the rain. It's just pouring out there. But as soon as I get a break in this weather at all, I'm gonna run out and go down to the meadow, and I know there's some dry maple over there, so I just cut a bunch of sticks and bring it up here and just cut it down small enough that I can get in the tent, and then I'll finish chopping it up when I'm in the tent. Try to warm this thing up real good so we can have a nice warm evening in here. So I'm gonna get all that worked out and see you guys later maybe. I mean, not much going on, a rainy day. You know how it is. It rains a lot, spring in Maine. Let's see if this is any better. Mic check 1 2. Got you on the new microphone. It's either a lot better or a lot worse. I don't know. Hear the rain? Probably.
Well, end of day 12. It's still raining really hard. Eating some food. I got some more wood, but it's all pretty wet, and some of it's even wet and punky, which is pretty bad. But as long as you keep your coals really hot and make sure you add wood before they cool down, it'll dry it out and you can burn pretty wet wood. Alright, well, keep the fire going tonight. Try to stay warm. See you guys all tomorrow.
Good morning. Day 13. And the sun is shining. It's good news. I had to collect some major firewood because I definitely burned through everything I had up here yesterday during the rainstorm. It's cold and rainy all day yesterday. Still really windy today. The canvas tent is flapping all over the place. Alright, I get out of bed, put some pants on, and head on out for the day.
Well, collected water and collected firewood for the day. I still got to cut the firewood up, but just out on a stroll, cutting back some of these gray birch that I have here, overwhelming the property, freeing up the pine trees. Everywhere I see like a spruce or some sort of coniferous tree, I cut all the small trees around it down, unless they're maples. Like these are maples, so we'll probably keep these because we want as many maples as we can get. But just freeing them up so these pine trees and spruce trees and firs can grow real big. They're getting all blocked out by the gray birch. Look at this mushroom here.
Man, that thing's crazy looking. Oh yeah, look at the inside of that sucker. See, the structure's kind of like a morel, but I guess this is something they call a false morel. The outside doesn't really look like a morel. The inside and everything kinda does, but not really. I think these things are pretty poisonous, so don't want to eat them. I'll continue my work. Well, I guess they're all gone now. That figures there were just a bunch of rabbits right next to the tent here. I can still see one of them. He's over there. They were just all hopping in on me. There's so many hares out here. Whoa, shaking the camera. Well, I got my microphone on. I was editing the videos and I realized, wow, they really sound pretty crappy. At least the first week did. And then I remembered, oh yeah, I bought a microphone, a lapel microphone. So when it's windy especially, this cancels out a lot of the wind. Can you hear it? Probably heard that when I hit it. But it definitely make everything sound more even too. It's just kind of a pain in the butt to carry the microphone all the time. It's corded, but I can just put the cord in the pocket of my jacket, and every time I go to record, plug it in. So hopefully that works. Hopefully it sounds better, and hopefully it saves me time in editing, because right now I have to equalize the volume on every single clip. So that's kind of a pain. Man, look at this guy. He blends in pretty well. I guess maybe he just thinks that we can't see him. He's like right there. They're just hopping around, eating. They're not worried about me at all. So the end of day 13, and I collected a lot of firewood. Because it's gonna rain this week, I'm gonna collect firewood tomorrow too. So if we have 3 or 4 days of rain, I have enough firewood to get through it. It's warming up though every day, and you probably can't see it, but there's millions of baby mosquitoes on the tree line right next to me. But we get a lot of wind here. It's like so windy, I'm afraid to even light up the stove to cook dinner tonight. But the wind is good. Like, the mosquitoes really can't control themselves or like land on you because it's so windy up at this spot. But you can see there's just hordes of mosquitoes coming from the swampy area, from the wetlands. There's a lot of them. They're little teeny mosquitoes right now too. Every time they fly over to me and try to like surround me, the wind kicks up and then blows them all back to the tree line. It's pretty great. So that's one good thing about the wind. You know, when it's cold, it sucks, but that's one good thing. Throughout the summer, if the wind keeps up here, which it should, there's giant windmills set up on public land around me, so they must get a lot of wind here all the time, and that'll help with the black flies and the mosquitoes. Well, I'm getting ready to cook dinner, and then shortly after that, call it a night. Probably got about an hour and a half left of sunlight. So I don't know about this microphone. I think I hear a humming sound, kind of a humming or something, but I don't know. I'll check this video after I'm done recording it and see. But if it's gonna leave a humming sound, then obviously I'm not gonna use this mic, because that's even worse than having to equalize everything. Although the first video is pretty bad, like, you know, I kept on covering the mic and like pointing the mic in the wrong direction, and the sound was definitely not great. But we'll see if this is any better. Hopefully the humming sound was just me not being plugged in all the way or something. We'll see. Mic test 1 2. When I'm quiet is probably when you can hear the static or the noise more. Alright, let's check it. Sunset on day 13. Pretty nice, actually. I'm gonna have to thin out those gray birch right there, get some of that view back. Pretty nice sunset considering we're in the forest. Usually you can't see much of the sunset, but since we have this highland where it drops off in the west. Perfect. Yeah, got some colors and stuff going on in there. It's a pretty nice night. See you guys in the morning. Alright, from the rain the other day, the water level out at the landlocked brook, or whatever you want to call it. It's like kind of a brook, but it doesn't really move because it's from groundwater. But there are those eggs, and they are changing. They're not just little round dots in the middle anymore, they're like oval shape. So I guess that did get fertilized. Alright, over there is the other egg sac. Let's go check on that. Well, one of two things happened. That's where they were. But either when the water rose, it broke them up, or they finished up in a couple of days. It's been like 2 days since we were down here last. So maybe they're little tadpoles swimming around, or maybe the eggs are just broken up and floating around. I don't know, but those ones are gone. So the other one's really sheltered, so we should be able to watch that till the end. I'll come down here every day. On day 14, it's about noon. I got everything charging on the solar panels. Already charged up the big battery pack. Thing works awesome. But I'm just chilling out, hanging out. I went for a long walk this morning and went along the whole northern edge of the property, and I did find the red markers that I had seen when we were down at the brook that last time. And I knew they were coming onto my property, but I wasn't sure why. But it is a trail that goes on to the wildlife management. It's actually the border of the wildlife management is all marked with a red mark line. And for some reason that they just left a little trail going to that body of water from the main trail, which doesn't really make sense because the main trail is supposed to mark the line, the boundary line. So it is good in the sense that 2 of my boundary lines are marked completely, like with the trail around it. So that's cool, but it's kind of weird that they have that one trail coming out onto my property. I guess it's so the ranger can come and see if people are hunting ducks and stuff on that body of water. But the body of water is completely on my property, so it's weird that I have a state trail that comes onto my property about, I don't know, 200 feet or something. But either way, I put a no trespassing sign on it, so people won't be coming from the public land onto my property all willy-nilly. But it is cool. 2 of my property lines are fully marked, and if I just head out in one direction, I should be able to find the western line. There's a western line that's out in the middle of the woods, like way out there. And it would have been hard to find otherwise, but since there's a red mark line, if I just go straight west, eventually I'll run into the red markers. And then if I follow the markers one way, I'll get to the brook. If I follow the markers the other way, I'll get to where the markers turn and come up to my north line. So that's pretty sweet. It was a long hike. It's wetlands, and it was pretty boggy and hard going, that's for sure. But at least I know the area a little bit better, and I know my line a little bit better. So I think I'm just gonna hang out for a while, and I'm trying to get plans together for the first garden. I need to get the first garden put together. It's like May 12th or something today, so I need to get that all put together and started today. So I'll bring you guys back once I figure that all out. Well, that's the end of day 14, basically. About 5 o'clock in the afternoon, gonna have dinner here soon. Didn't get much done today. Pretty much went out in the woods. I got a little firewood and got some more camp water, but for the most part didn't do very much. Just kind of hung out. Sunday today. Went and walked the property line. Got a pretty good idea of where the whole property line is now. Not much else today. Not much this week either. This is the end of week 2, and it was pretty uneventful. You know, I got the rest of the area cleared out for the cabin, but since it rained on Friday, we didn't end up getting the guy who has the excavator who's going to do the dozer work on the road. He didn't end up coming, and I don't know, we'll see. He says that if it's clear tomorrow, he'll come out and start the work, but the weather channel or the weather app says that it's gonna be pretty cloudy tomorrow and might rain, and then it's supposed to rain Tuesday and Wednesday. So I don't know, I might not be able to get him out here until the following week. I don't really know. I'm getting pretty crunched on time. I got about 2 weeks left before the cabin people are supposed to deliver the cabin. It's in my contract that I have it delivered by June 8th. So I need to get this work done, but you know, there's not much you can do about the rain. If there's too much rain, the dozer won't be able to like get in and do the work without making a mess of everything. So hopefully that happens sometime this week, but you know, pretty uneventful week. Other than chopping a chunk of my thumb off, but my thumb's doing pretty good now, and cleaning it really well and keeping it covered has done pretty well for it, and I don't think it's going to get infected. Hopefully, so far it isn't, so if I just keep it covered, it should be all set. So I guess this is the end of week 2 and the end of the second episode. 100 acres off-grid project. 100-acre plantation off-grid project. And Uncle Dave with DEECEE's Adventures. Make sure you rate, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you guys all on the next video. Just gonna relax the rest of this Sunday. And I'll pull you guys back out tomorrow. Tomorrow, on Monday, week 3, beginning of week 3, we're going to do something. I think probably get the first garden space worked out and get some dirt on it and sort that whole thing out. But when I see you on Monday in episode 3, we will go over all of that. Thanks for joining me. See you on the next one.